the cap. Chicks dig the cap. Us Mickey Motions. Hi guys, Harrison, I'm back at it once again for a brand new video for you. Welcome to the second of our team review series, a mixture of video blogs and Formula 1 2012 content, as I review every team from the Formula 1 2012 season. Now, for those who are asking me, this is going in Constructors' Championship order. So, the hint as to what's coming next should be kind of dead obvious, but this is a nice way of me showing I'm not just a Sebastian Vettel homie back there. There is a bit of Ferrari in me, mainly from the Schumacher era. But, yeah, I kept the hat. It's a nice hat. I like a bit of a chav, to be honest, but we'll roll with this. So, for episode 2, we're going to be looking at the Ferrari team. Obviously, the car, Fernando Alonso, who became oh so close to being a triple world champion, and Felipe Massa, who had a very interesting year despite numerous amounts of pressure and goodness knows what else from him. So, without further ado, let's break down Ferrari's season. First of all, with Fernando Alonso. This was a magical year for Fernando Alonso. He became so close because he was bulletproof when it came to consistency over the course of the 2012 season. His individual stats weren't that spectacular from the top of the tree standpoint. 3 race wins was fine, 2 pole positions, but when you dig a little bit deeper you realise 18 races he finished in the points. The other 2 were both retirements, and 13 times he was on the podium, more than any other driver in the sport this year. Ultimately finished with 278 points, just 3 behind Sebastian Vettel. Like I said, this was the main story of 2012. It was Fernando Alonso never giving up, his bulletproof consistency, the car never seeming to let him down, besides maybe the odd qualifying session towards the second half of the year. But overall, his race pace was magical. He was constantly fighting and scrapping for every place he could, often taking advantage of whatever he was given to him, and despite the car never being the best in the sport, he managed to finish just 3 points behind the most dominant team and driver combination in Formula 1 today. And that captured the hearts of so many casual fans of Formula 1, and Fernando Alonso did an absolutely phenomenal job. I mean, this World Championship was so close that it would have sucked for either guy if the other guy had won. And Alonso was the unfortunate runner-up. And did he deserve it? Absolutely. You know, it's just one of those unlucky situations where if the luck maybe went a little bit more in his favour, he may have got it. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he had a remarkable season. If it just goes to show you, Fernando Alonso is without question a Hall of Fame level driver, and this season's pound-for-pound performances cemented that fact. Fernando Alonso, one of the very best to ever set foot in a car. As for teammate Felipe Massa, he did the reverse Webber of this year. Not particularly impressive individual stats, didn't have a race win, didn't have a pole position. He was on the podium twice, but he did have 14 top 10 point scoring finishes, which is excellent. Only 1 retirement, and that was in the opening day in Australia. Finished with 122 points, and that was good for 7th place in the World Championship. And again, if you look at how those points are split up, you'll notice something very interesting. Massa's first half of the season was horrible. Would often struggle to get out of Q2. Only had 23 points to start the first half of the season, and many people were calling for him to be fired. Yet, despite all of that, he soaked up the pressure, took the criticism, and got on with his driving. And in the second half of the season, he scored 99 points, which is actually quite good. It's just a solid number. And despite all the pressure for him to lose his job, for him to be cut for someone like Sergio Perez, Massa got on with it, and this was despite Ferrari's harsher team orders often holding him back as well, in terms of things like car development and pulling over for Alonso when necessary. Not to mention the infamous America gearbox incident that cost him 5 places, where Massa cleared like he was the fastest Ferrari on the day. Just a prime example of the clear number 1 and 2 system Ferrari have got right now. But Massa needs to hit the ground running in 2013, and if he can, who knows, he might be able to outscore Alonso here and there. It looks like to me he could be rediscovering his old mojo because the second half of the year, Massa looked as good as he's ever done since that horrible incident in Hungary in 2010. Felipe Massa, turning the corner. So how about the car? Well, one of the biggest stories of 2012 was Ferrari didn't seem to have the car. Or did they? I think the media overblew that one quite a lot, in my honest opinion. Because if the car was really that bad, would they have really scored 400 constructors' points this past season? No, they clearly had the second best car in Formula 1 over the course of the year. That's why they came second in the constructors. So how bad was the car really? Did Alonso really carry it? No, it was more to do with the fact that they had race pace. Their race pace was very good across the whole year because constantly, while they qualified badly, they would gain places throughout races. The problem was they just didn't have the ultimate pace to start higher up on the grid. They didn't have the ultimate pace that often McLaren, Red Bull, and other cars like Lotus seemed to have over the course of the year. Even Pastor Maldonado and the Williams had some better qualifying performances than some of the Ferrari boys had because they didn't have that ultimate pace. Can you get the fastest possible lap time out of a single car? Because if you think about it, Ferrari did not have a single mechanical-based retirement the entire year. 40 cars started the year for them, and mechanically speaking, they had 40 finishes. They only had 3 minuses because Massa had such a bad time in Australia and had multiple contacts, and Alonso was tagged by Grosjean and Raikkonen in Japan and Belgium respectively. So the car was actually pretty darn good. The fact it didn't have any mechanical retirements and its race pace was very solid tends to be a winning formula. The only problem was that Red Bull seemed to get better as the season went on, and Ferrari just didn't have the legs to beat Red Bull and McLaren towards the latter half of the year. So the car still scores a pretty solid grade overall. You'll see what it is at the end of the video. But I hope you enjoyed this Ferrari review. If you have any thoughts and opinions, please feel free to comment below and let me know. I think I'm on to a winner of this series, though, because the first episode of the Red Bull team was an excellent review, nearly 50 comments in total, over 50 likes, and a very solid view count. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy this series as it goes on. I'll be back at the weekend to review the McLaren team, which, knowing the fan bases of those drivers, is going to be very interesting indeed. I've been Harris101. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Sayonara.